Hello, it's Mary Van Geffen. How are you? I wanted to try out going live on a Substack. I have never done it, and I feel like Instagram's giving me hives. And so I just want to see what it's like to kind of share on here. And I also wanted to have a reason to celebrate that my book is out in the world. And uh, I'm not great at celebrating. Are you good at celebrating? When I got my master's in marketing communication from like a prestigious business school, Kellogg in Chicago, I told my parents, "You don't have to come. I'm I'm 29 years old. I don't need you to come." And was that not the saddest day? Nobody came to my graduation, and I went into full victim mode of like, yeah, I come from a family that, and I had said, don't come. So I told myself, I will go on Substack and I will celebrate. I didn't even bring it with me that I now have a book in the world. It's called Parenting a Spicy One. And that's not the only thing I want to talk about today, but I will go grab my publisher sent me a fake version of it, and I will show you. I would love to know what you think of the cover. This parenting is look at this fiery, intense kid. We had so many meetings about this stupid cover. I wanted the I wanted it to be really clear that this kid takes up more space than maybe you want them to. And I have another version that's like I should have with me that's the opposite where you can actually read it. But here's the exciting thing. Mel Robbins wrote me an endorsement. She read my whole book. Mel friggin' Robbins. And she said, Mary Van Geffen has written the parenting manual I wish I'd had when my kids were little. She's funny, compassionate, and real. No judgment, no perfection, just smart strategies, deep empathy, and a huge dose of relief. You'll laugh, you'll cry, and most of all, you'll finally feel like you're not screwing everything up. Mel Robbins gets it. So, how with ADHD and autism do you finish a book? Well, I'll tell you, it's touch and go. You get some support. My friend Jill is on here right now, who is helps me with executive function, and you figure out like if you need to write to 100,000 words, how many words is that a day? And it was interesting, like figuring out how to write was sort of like figuring out how to mature as a person. I had a lot of preconceived notions. Like I know like Emily P. Freeman like lights a candle and that tells her she's in the writing. Mine was more like sloppy, and I'd wake up in the middle of the night and be like, I didn't say this yet. But what was really important for my writing, and I think a lot of folks on Substack are writers, or maybe you're watching them recording in your email later. But for me, it was placemaking. I needed to be in a separate place because nothing happens here at home, um, because I'm going to get interrupted, as we all know, by either the spicy one or my spouse, or I'm just going to start doing some silly chore that doesn't matter. Welcome, everybody. And so I had to go to a cafe, and it was 3 times a week. I would sit in this cafe, and I had to get there by 8:30 because they would run out of these sun-dried tomato egg wraps, and if they didn't have it, there was nothing else there that had protein. Anyway, that was a big part of writing a book. Another thing, which I am go-go bananas for, my dog's chewing himself, is Speechify. If you haven't heard of that, hit me up and I'll give you a link. I have a link to actually get you, I think it's 30% off, and it it reads to you your book. So I would write it, and then the next pass of it, well, actually, that's not true. I would write it. The next time I read it, I'd be like, this is pure slop, but it's so much easier to edit than it is to write. So I'd edit it. And the third step would be I would listen to it read to me by Gwyneth Paltrow, because Speechify is this AI that you can choose whatever voice you want. And Gwyneth Paltrow would bring such gravitas to my book as she read it to me, and I'd be like, yes, yes, no. And I would make notes, and I would have the Google Doc in my and I would move my body. That was a big part of writing for me. Is like I'm listening to it, I'm moving. Anyway, I'm celebrating that it's finally available. It's not going to be in anybody's hands until February, but I have made some amazing pre-order bonuses. I'm not looking to um, push those right now, but just know that if you did pre-order, you will be handsomely rewarded because I've made a how to affirm your kid masterclass. I was not affirmed growing up. Nobody told me how amazing I was. I had to tell myself. And then I tried telling it to my kids, and I could tell what landed and what didn't. And just the art of affirmation is critical. And with a spicy one, a strong willed kid, you need to get really specific. They don't have a lot of trust when you're like, oh, you're such a great kid. I love you so much. They're like, why? What about me? And I'm still the same way with my husband. So I made a master class around giving affirmations, and there's 50 affirmations in there that I think every spicy one would love to hear. And they're really good for when you're like, but I don't like my kid right now. And that's like my little niche is parents who don't really like their kid right now, and that's okay. We need help. I just coached somebody who wanted to tell me how annoying her 11-year-old was. And we all want somebody who will listen to that because, like, it's true, it's real. We are overwhelmed. But I had to say, like, time out. I can sit here with the victim part of you and talk about how it's not fair and how much you do and how you're not getting anything back. But we're like sitting together in a hole. I want to help you climb out of that hole. And that's going to take a new way of thinking. And that's in the book. Okay. Jill said, "Do not sell on this. You're just getting on to talk." So I want to give you some updates while we're celebrating. This is our celebration that this book is available. Oh, the second thing you can get when you pre-order is meditations for meltdown meditations for mom that you listen to when your inner monster comes out and you're like, I gotta calm myself down. And you just listen to them. It's me talking to you. And then the third thing is you get a free audiobook, me and my sexiest mom voice. But I haven't even recorded that yet. So it's early days. But what do I want to tell you about my life? Because I open up Instagram now and I'm just like, it's just so triggering and negative. And I just recently this weekend went away with my husband in our van. We have a van. And I get called into the van a lot. And I was looking around and there was a lot of families at this campsite. We were in Carpinteria, California, just south of Santa Barbara, where Oprah lives. And there were parents just doing the best they could with kids who were like whining, and camping is kind of dirty and not for me because I was in my van. But I'm in this van and I had some deep conversations with my husband where he expressed that he would like me to put more effort into our relationship because guess what I've been putting effort into for the last 2 years. And I was able to hear him and be like, isn't me being in the van enough effort? Turns out it's not. So then I went to, it was perfect timing because we had this really intense conversation where he was like, I kind of want you to show up more in our relationship and take initiative. And then I went and I complained to my therapist. And my therapist said something that was really powerful. And whenever I learn something, I just have the type of personality where like I immediately want to tell other people about it. Because if it means a lot to me, there's other people that don't know this. And it used to be back in the old days, you could get on Instagram and the people who followed you got to see what you had to say if they wanted to follow you. Now it's like, this very small percentage see you. So I'm telling you that this was my learning yesterday in therapy is that I might be trying to, and I wonder if you're doing this, trying to protect my spouse from being upset with me. Or what I was doing is like, I was thinking, oh, how could I take initiative? Well, I could plan something, but I bet if I choose this food, he won't like it. And the therapist was like, enough. Don't pre-plan how the person you're in conflict with is going to not like what you're talking about. or is going to critique you. Instead, do that thing in good faith. Like, I need to initiate meals. I need to plan a night out for the two of us. I need to ask him to do things with me because right now I've sort of been in receiving mode. I receive that. And if when I do those things, he critiques them like, "Oh, I don't like this kind of food," or, "Oh, you didn't think to get a reservation," because that's my fear. She said, "Don't pre-plan, just handle that in the moment and say," and I had to write it down, "I'm trying to show you love and I'm getting met with hostility. Do you mean to be doing that? Do you mean to be critiquing me?" And I was like, "Yeah, you're right. I can just take the risk and deal with if there is pushback in the moment or the thing I'm worried about, I am strong enough to handle it. This is I'm willing to spend the currency of love. I'm willing to pay the price and invest into our relationship. And I am capable of saying, hey, you're critiquing this like baby steps effort of mine. Is that what you want to be doing? So hold me accountable to that. I shall be doing that. I did just get back from, we're the sandwich generation, right? I've got, a 21-year-old and an 18-year-old. And meanwhile, I've got parents who are kind of descending into their physical capability. And I just went to visit them in Maryland. And it's hard to watch your parents become physically and cerebrally diminished. And it's a sweet time because all the things that used to like make me so mad I got to write a book about it, they start to be less important. Also, when you begin to love yourself, you don't need to seek it so much from your parents in a certain way that they aren't equipped to give it. So I've got my parents, and as a sandwich generation, I've also got my kids, and I leave in 48 hours for Parents Weekend at my youngest's school, University of Washington. And guess what? It's a high of 50 degrees with 100% rain. And he's like, "Can't wait to take you to the football game." How do you go to a football game when it is raining sheets and buckets? And my husband, who's a big golfer, is like, "Oh, well, you wear your rain pants." I'm sorry, sir. I don't own rain pants. So I sent a text out to some friends, but I can't really imagine sitting in a football stadium while I'm getting rained on. Thanks, Amy. Thanks for being excited about my book. But I think that's going to happen. And I'm going to be the last to complain. That's the the thing I'm throwing at myself, the challenge. Okay, I want to know about you. How are you with celebrations? Like, is there anybody on this call who is like amazing at celebrations? Because when I tell me how you celebrate yourself. Like, what do I do now that I've written a book? Because we all have that like mountaintop syndrome. Like, when I get to the mountaintop, when I write that book, when I make that phone call, when I establish that thing, and then you get there and you're like, okay, what's next? And I don't want to do that. I want to sit and relax on my laurels. And so I'm wondering what celebration looks like for you. And often when I'm coaching women, moms, I will dare them, like I dared somebody today, to have an inner smile when they interacted with their child who was feeling their child's feeling like a real disappointment to them right now. And I said, "Can you have an inner smile? Can you just think about your greetings with that kid? Like the whole night, who knows how it'll go, but when you greet them, can you be delighted to see them, not to try to change them, but just love who they are?" And she was like, "Yeah, but I know my kid." And I was like, "Oh, time out. We don't care how your kid responds. I want you to celebrate if you show up in integrity with yourself. You made a decision. You're going to prioritize greetings. You're going to have an inner smile. I, I want you to celebrate that effort, not what the result is, because that's none of your business." But then the question always is with a client, like, what does celebration look like? Am I going to go, a lot of times it's a consumption. Okay, I'll buy myself that new lipstick, or I'll pour myself a glass of wine, or I'll finally watch that TV show that I've wanted to. But Jill says, "Tell me you live in SoCal without telling me you live in SoCal." People go to football games and sit in the rain? I don't believe it. Show me photos. Um, what how do you guys celebrate yourself? What is like I mean, sometimes I'll tell clients, "I want you to take a physical moment." And it's kind of like Stuart Smalley. I love myself, right? But hugging yourself to say like, "Good job. Good job." I'm like squeezing up and down my arm like, "You did it. You did that thing you said you were going to do." Having a moment where you tell your brain, "I'm good at enacting change," really helps you make more change later. But I just want to rest in like, I did this and it is enough for now. Um, I could sit in a football game in the snow. I think that's different than sitting in rain. Snow just lands on you and it's sweet. Rain seeps into every part of you. I read something I'm changing the subject for a second. I read something that I thought was really sweet. God is not mad at you. God is mad about you. I just think that's really sweet. There's so many of us who are carrying baggage about who God is or what God thinks about us or all the crappy things people have done to us in the name of religion, including giving a lot of counsel about how to break a child's will. And I think a lot of strong-willed kids have been done a disservice. So I just love the idea that God is not mad at you. She's mad about you. Thought that was sweet. I saw that on my friend Maria Bowler's story. All right, that's it. I just wanted to take a moment to celebrate that I wrote a book. It's out in the world, kind of. It's still a pre-order situation. It'll be in your hand February 10th. And just say thanks for being a part of this journey with me and being in my ecosphere. And let's spend more time on Substack, and less time on social media. All right, my dears, have a wonderful day. See you later. Congratulations.